Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Hey YouTube, it's Chris Dyer here at Reborn Martial Arts in Springfield, Virginia, and we're doing another What Is video. Today we're talking about Ju. Alright, so what in the world are we talking about? So this is one of the most kind of important videos that we're going to talk about, sort of philosophy, terminology, that sort of thing, when it comes to martial arts, because these terms are used so interchangeably and confusingly and are so influential that I kind of want to go into the weeds and kind of break it down term by term so that it helps kind of understand. This is kind of what our What Is series is designed for, is kind of like kind of a glossary of terms. So let's kind of get into the weeds of what these terms are. First is Ju, which is typically today translated as gentle, but it originally has a meaning more of yielding, and we're going to be looking at this in just a second, how it's used. It also is interchangeable with the other term, Jiu, which is also kind of translated as gentle or yielding today. These little suffixes get put at the beginning of different words to create different meanings. So for example, JuJitsu is traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu. This is what I had studied. Then there's Jiu-Jitsu, which is what we usually use for Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So when people talk about jiu-jitsu nowadays, they typically mean Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but understand that that came from a long line of different instructors over the years, from traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu to Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And then the term jitsu, what in the world is this? This is actually another really interesting word that is interchangeable with do a lot of times. So jitsu is a martial art, and do means way. So if you see like karate do, it's the way of karate, the way of empty hands. Judo is the gentle way, or if you have jiu-jitsu, it's the gentle martial art or the yielding martial art. So there's some other terms that come along with this. For example, aikido or aiki, which is joining spirit, which is the essence of a person is giving you physical energy. They're giving you something to work with. You're joining with that. You're blending into this. And then another term is kazushi, which is one of the most important terms in all of these arts, kind of the uniting term, because all of the techniques that come from these arts is unbalancing, which is what kazushi is. So let's take a look at how and what this idea of yielding and blending really is and how it's used in the martial arts. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we're talking about when we're talking about this idea of this gentle or yielding method of martial art. So if you think hard style, so something where I'm stopping his movement or I'm fighting against him, I'm using my strength versus his strength. So let's think just like in terms of a strike coming in, and we'll kind of observe this. So if Mike throws a strike, I'm going to take my arm, I'm going to drive against his arm, I'm going to pound into it, and I'm going to make sure that I have strong structure, I'm making sure that I'm putting myself forward, I'm driving into his movement to stop him, which is really cool. And there's a lot of things that you can do to deliver tons of power. You can hurt this person along the way. If they really mean to do you harm, you can really smash into them, do all kinds of fun stuff. However, there's a time and place for yielding into this energy. So if he does this really, really big, powerful strike, and I am a lot smaller, the idea of crashing in, driving into him is probably not the best option for me. So my best option in that case is to yield with it. So we're going to want to change directions real quick. So we do this. So if Mike gives me this big power punch with his right hand, so you're here, I can drive in. I got good structure through here. I can drive into this, stop him, and then start pounding and hitting and whatnot. But the essence of yielding, the aiki from the joining spirit, is to yield, to go with it. So as he's contacting here, I'm going to make contact. I have to have this contact so that I can unite with him, so I can join with him. So now I can yield with him. So there's, as this is coming in, I'm here, I make contact to it, I yield with it, and I'm not stopping his energy, I'm using his energy. As I'm using it, I'm rolling into position to do my big hip throw or shoulder toss or whatever it happens to be. We can also off balance him by doing striking. This is the same idea as yielding with. So I'm not stopping this energy, I'm going with this. It's, if you think about it, coiling around this direction, my body is also coiling around this direction. I'm just off balancing him. The idea of kazushi, along the way, I'm off balancing him. So the essence that we're talking about here, this main point, this yielding, is not going fighting force on force. So if he gives me a strike, right, I'm stopping force on force. He gives me a different strike and I'm kind of stopping him, driving into him. If I'm, if I can dominate this person physically, that works every single time. That's not an issue. But the problem comes if they're a lot bigger, stronger than you, or you want to not necessarily just smash in, you need to think about, positioning, or you want to, maybe this person, you don't want to hurt them, you just want to subdue them, you want to stop them. So he gives me that same left that he did, instead of crashing down into it, I might come up in here, and now we have a little talking point that we can communicate there are differences in a different frame of space, or, so we're not here, smashing in, I can just yield with it, come into position, now we can, shh, it's going to be okay, we're going to have a gentle little conversation, right? So this is a way of controlling, to not fight force on force, to yield with them, and you can do this to completely dominate the person. You can absolutely choke them out, you can tap them out, all kinds of other stuff, but it also allows for something really, really cool and unique. It allows you to do things like holds, where you can gently stop, think about it, relax. You don't want to continue fighting, which is, if you are a very, very talented martial artist, you can end a martial art conflict without hurting anybody, which is kind of like an awesome goal to keep. So that's another really good thing, to reason why you want to practice these types of arts. Anyway, I hope that helps kind of dig through some of the weeds of these terminologies. I know they're really confusing, which is kind of the reason why I wanted to start the What Is series. There's a lot of terms out there, and trying to figure them all out, I kind of wanted a place where people can just kind of go and, what is this term? What is this thing? So if you have a martial arts term that you want us to look into, kind of weed through the bushes for you, send it to me, and I'm happy to give some background, some history, and all that fun stuff, and kind of my thoughts on it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this one. I know it's a huge benefit to get some of these things out there, and like, subscribe, share, leave your comments below. Thanks, guys.